Hello again and welcome back. We are going to be doing some work on Bruno this morning on this lovely sunny day. When I got it up on the ramp the other day, I found out that this front right-hand side, front driver's side here in the UK, wheel was slightly binding. So I need to take that wheel off, check that caliper and get it ready to go on the road. All the hoses for the vacuum and the idle stabilisation, all that sort of things, they've all been ordered, so I'm waiting for those to come in. The service kit I ordered from Autodoc. So, steering fluid, brake fluid, oil, coolant, distilled water, filters, everything, water pump, thermostat, oil temperature switch, all that stuff, whole lot didn't get delivered. Got sent back because the courier smashed one of the oil containers and it went everywhere. Brilliant. So it's all gone back to Autodoc, so I'm waiting for that to be returned. Then I get a refund and I've got to order it all over again. Great. So not Autodoc's fault, by the way, what a pain. So in the meantime, I'm going to get this up, I'm going to have a look at this caliper and find out what's wrong with it. Now I've not had these wheels off yet, but that is definitely, I can turn it, but otherwise there's no. Otherwise in pretty good shape actually, considering it's got a steering box. So these tyres are going to be replaced because they're just shocking. Half tempted to go and get the tyres done. These are all really bad. So do I do that as well? We'll worry about that in a minute. Let's get these wheels off. They're not huge. Where's my socket set gone? Upstairs, one sec. Wheels could do with doing. Centre caps have been glued in, nice. Okay. Oh, I can't even turn that with that. So we're going to need to get these calipers off. Sorry, this caliper off and see whether it can be recovered. Shouldn't be too bad. I'm just going to get a torch on that actually because I can't quite see it. Hopefully you can't hear the fan in the background. It is ridiculously hot today. So apologies if you can. But I need the fan on. Right, let's have a look at this. Difficult to even tell, there's so much crap in there, but there looks like to be loads of meat on there. So I think I'm going to get this caliper off. I'm going to take, wow, this looks really good under here though. There's a bit cheesy under there. This doesn't look too bad. A bit of rust, but nothing major. Nice. First time I've had a wheel off. Spring isn't in pieces. And it's not leaking. Bloody hell bells. Right, let's get this caliper off and take it from there. I might steer it out the way actually. Right, so what we're looking at in here, which is all quite straightforward. Yeah, a couple of, what, 21s maybe? 20? 19 I would say. Yeah, a couple of 19s on the back. Run that on the breaker. Not the first time this has been off. There we go. washer there on that one and not on that one. Interesting. I'll double check that it's supposed to have a washer. Wow, that's tight on there, that is. Just gonna get an arm on that. Ow. Ow, that was right on my shoulder, that was quite painful. Right, these are only hard lines, there's no flexies. Sorry, that's complete lie. Oh, that really hurt. Owie. Oh. So there's a hard line that goes from this caliper to the flexi at the top here, which is annoying, so I'm gonna have to take that off to get the caliper off. So I'm gonna try and pinch that off if I can. I mean, that is a really hard line, but this might be, we might lose some brakes, but either way, it's got to come off, I'm afraid. So let's get that one off. Screw fix today, so we're sticking with the original. Let's see if we can get that off without, I really do not want to break that off in there. To be fair, I might get both the front calipers sent off for reconditioning anyway. We'll see. Let's have a quick look. There is a bit of fluid coming out, not a huge amount. I'll try and bend that away for the moment. Up there. Let's see if we can get this one off. Yikes. Whoa, right. Okay, I'll show you what we've got. Okay, so down here we have, just stop leaking for the moment, will you? This is a brake pad that has completely deteriorated. Look at that, it's literally just falling apart. So we need to get some new pads. Wow, that's literally, you see that? There we go, there's the pad. So they've been in there a while. Good grief, let me just get a screwdriver. This is the problem, I fear, with historic vehicles. And when I say historic vehicles, I mean vehicles that do not require an MOT. Because this is a flipping dangerous car. The disc is okay. I'll have this off in a second. And we'll give this a good clean up because there's loads of meat on that, although there's a bit of uneven wear, to be fair. I'm just gonna get a new disc and pads. Nice bearing though. Right. I mean, that is nuts. There is, in fact, the pins are still in, which is good, so I can get a drift quickly, and I'll pop those pins out. And two. Right. Maybe go that way. Wow. Have you ever seen brake pads that bad before? Because I haven't. Oh, crikey. Look at that. I think that one needs replacing. Good gracious me. Okay, time for the brakes. So I think I'm going to probably pull the calipers off all round, get those tyres done, and maybe send these off. I'll see if there's some rebuild kits on this, but that doesn't look particularly healthy. Although saying that, I don't know if you can see that. If I push that piston, it moves. If I push that piston, it moves. So it may very well be, hang on. Yep, that piston is moving, and that one is moving. Okay, okay. So these aren't seized. That is somewhat surprising. It may just be just a lot of degradation on that. So I'm quite impressed with that. don't know if you could see that on all of them, but all of them push up some liquid. All of them. That's all 4. Okay. So, I'm still blown away by that. I've never seen any pads just quite like that ever in my life. Right, I think I'm going to get some new tyres. While the wheels are down at Bathwick, I am going to get these calipers off. That is what I'm going to do. So, let me get the rest of the wheels off, into the Freelander, down to Bathwick, and I'll come back and we'll do the rest. Have relieved me of £125 a corner, and they'll be doing those tomorrow, which is great. So the wheels are with them. What have we got here today? These aren't too bad. Let's grab the torch, 1 second, which I put somewhere. Okay. So, on the back we've got single discs, not grooved, not vented or anything, which is kind of normal. And I can't quite see. Oops. Oh, look. Loads and loads of meat, but they look just as old. Oops, badly bad filming. In fact, has that pad broken up as well? Either that or it's a weird shaped pad. I think that pad has broken up as well. Oh, hang on. I don't know. Maybe it's just a weird shaped pad. Looks. I don't know. Either way. Right, okay, so again, the discs aren't that bad, but there's no lip on any of them, which you kind of expect. Oh, that's got that weird bit as well. Maybe it is a factory pad shape. That's weird, isn't it? Either way, there's tons and tons of meat on the back. However, I would say new discs and pads all round. Should we have a look at the front and see what this other one was like? Because I can't imagine this was much better than. Get you in there. Loads of meat. Can't quite tell. Oh, I can't get you around there very easy because the steering's turned. But either way, no lip, but I think it's uneven wear again. So can you see it's kind of thinner on the inside? Oops. Never mind. Thinner this side than there. So I think it's been wearing on the inside more than the outside. So new discs and pads all round, I think, and then we should be good to go. There's a lot of wet down here. Where did that come from? Ooh, on this end. I think this is the reservoir for the steering. I'm pretty sure it was leaking quite a lot. In fact, I've got a little drop there, look. Did I just see a drop? I did. Let's have a look. Sorry, really terrible filming. I think that's steering fluid. So we'll clean all that up anyway. We'll give everything a good spray down. Other than that, shocks are dry. Okay. These could probably all do with doing, I would imagine, but for the time being, they're going to stay put. The whole lot needs to be redone, and I will do them, but I just want to get the car on the road at the moment, so I want to get the brakes working and get it running, and then drive it around for a bit. I don't want another car that's in pieces just yet. Uh-oh. Well, I knew there was going to be some rust on it. Actually, it's not that bad. It's been off. Okay, right, anyways, let's try to focus on the job in hand. Might take that other caliper off and just check that that's okay. This one's been turning fine, so I don't think that's seized up. I see there's a rebuild kit I might do a rebuild on these and then sort of paint them up at the same time. Oh, look at that. There's a lot of moisture on there, isn't there? But yeah, let me go and have a quick look online and see how much discs and pads are going to cost. This is what I'm going to do. On eBay, you've got these rebuild kits for the front. Can't buy front calipers very easily. So I'm just going to buy one of these rebuild kits for 60 quid. And then buy a couple of new rear ones for the price of a rebuild kit. I can get 2 new rear calipers. So I'm going to get 2 new rear calipers and then I'm going to get a rebuild kit for the front as well. I think I need to get some bleed nipples and whatnot as well. So I might get these 4 new bleed nipples as well. So what's that going to cost me? 60 quid, 120, 128 quid, 130 odd quid, 135 quid maybe, including the bleed nipples. That's not bad for an overhaul, the front. So I'll order those and get on with it. Right, well, against my better judgment, I've decided to fix something that ain't broken, which I know I'm going to probably regret. So I decided to split the caliper. Now the reason being is that they look pretty rough, the pistons in there. I can get a kit that includes the pistons, or I can get a kit that's just the seals. So I kind of wanted to break it apart and see what it's like. There tends to just be O-rings between these two, which again, they're gonna need doing because this just won't have been split. So if I'm gonna do it right. It's always a bit nerve-wracking splitting these things because it's kind of like, they're not easy things to find. And it needed some effort to get them undone. So use the air tools on this one to get it separated. And now I'm gonna basically finish it off and get these are undoing quite nicely. And then see what condition these are actually in. It gives me a chance to tidy everything up. I've already cleaned up all of the wheel nuts and all that kind of stuff. Wowzers. There we go. And again, as you can see, I don't know how clear that is for you guys. I'll get in here. These are really, really flat. I mean, there's like nothing to them. They've been squashed flat for, well, since 82, I would imagine. So they are just normal O-rings. So we can change those out for new O-rings whilst we're giving this a clean up. And what it does, now, it gives us the opportunity to get right inside these and inspect all around here. And it is looking pretty grotty. But maybe good enough, I'm not entirely sure. So what we're going to do to pop these out, this side's not so bad. You get a cloth, pop your air line in there, and you just literally pop them out. It can be pretty epic when they actually go, but just do one at a time. Don't make the mistake of not locking one in. So you get a pair of mole grips, just lightly hold that in place so that one's not pushing, so then that one comes out. And then you put a rag over that one and then pop that one out. In theory. And the airline goes in there. So let's just get some pliers on that one. Like that. As long as there's room for that to come out. And then pop a cloth round that. Pop your air tool in. Just going to move you out of the way. There we go. Okie dokie. And what it gives us a chance to look at is how bad the seal is around here. And actually, these are not too bad. So I don't think I'll need to replace these. So you can clean up the back end of these. It's the important bit, because if these are grooved in any way, brake fluid just runs past them. So actually, that one is in really good shape. I'm going to give it a good clean up quickly and see what it looks like after all the muck's gone. Yeah, they're perfectly usable. So I'm not going to buy new ones of those. I'm just going to buy the rebuild kit, I think. If they're genuine or not, original or not, I'm not sure. Right, so now we need to shove some stuff in there as much as possible. Loosen this one off. Do this. Got it. Woohoo! Wowzers. That is why you want to have something there to catch it, because that would have shot out and smashed that window. Even with a tiny amount of air like that, it came out. So that one, again, is just needing a new seal. I'm going to double check all those as well, but they look pretty good to me. I hope you managed to see all of that. Or did I move the tripod so you didn't see any of it? Oh, fucking good, wasn't it? Right, so that's that one taken apart. I think we're going to keep these. Have a look on the insides. So, take all this stuff off now. So look at what these are like. Inside, there is no rust, just in need of new seals. Lovely job. Okie dokie, so I'm going to cover these up myself, give them a good clean up, pull out these seals. I mean, I've seen worse seals to be fair, but these are in bad enough condition that they need to be replaced. So I think by the looks of it, there's like a metal, like a circlip, but not really a circlip. I wonder. Yeah. Yeah, look, little circlip comes up. Well, I think the circlip's definitely seen better days. Okay, they're still in one piece though. So I don't know if we get new ones of those. I think we're going to need some new ones of those, I think. This side looks a bit worse. There we go. Right. Here we go. Right into the oil pickup of the Freelander. Nice. What a meek. Well done. Right. So that's the first half of the caliper from the first side. So there are obviously 4 of these to do. But at least we know where we kind of stand with them now. Those inner seals are there as well. So there you can see them. There's the black inner rubber seal, which feels like plastic now, but they're kind of rubber one. They're the main seal inside there. I don't know if you can actually see them. It's like a black seal that sits about 10 mil, 15 mil down into that bore. And then you just pull them out with a pick and you clean it out and you put new ones in. These ones are just dust seals, actually. They are important, obviously, but they are just the dust seals. These are the main seals, the ones that actually start to leak. So you can imagine if you had any scratches on the cylinder itself, on the piston, it would literally, brake fluid being as thin as it is, would just leak straight past a bad seal or a bad piston. So you need to get them, make sure they are okay. So I'm going to give this a good old clean up, and I am going to fill these with cloths, mask off these areas, and I am going to blast these, because I think they'll come up quite nicely. I need to do it in a way where I don't blast anything past that thing. What I might do, in fact, is actually take those seals out and pop these back in to stop any media going in there, but we'll see anyway. Either way, you don't want media going in here. But yeah, Getting there. Number 2, which looks equally as bad. So annoyingly we have to cover all the hoses, all the holes, all that kind of stuff. I think this one only has the one exit as well. So that's the bleed valve. So this is the outside piece. So this one has a bleed valve. This one has a bleed valve and, where's the bleed valve? This one has a bleed valve and it also has the brake line in as well. So that's a slightly more difficult one to do. This one's ever so slightly easier. So yeah, might even get these vapor blasted. I'm gonna go speak to our friend over at Devices and see about getting those vapor blasted. But yeah, let's get these pistons out and yes, do what we need to do. You don't want to watch that all over again, but I've got these done. So this is just the driver's side caliper. That's completely stripped down now. Wire brushed, completely emptied. I've left the inner seals in until the other ones turn up, so nothing gets stuck in there. And now I'm giving them a good clean off with brake cleaner. And now I'm going to paint them. I'm not too worried about painting the insides, but I will mask up anyway and get these outsides done to make them look a bit nicer. So this is the before, during, first coat done. Here's a matte silver I'm using, so it shouldn't be shiny. Second coat. Looking nice. Right, these are painted and sorted. Starting to look really nice. The only thing I haven't done is painted the bolts because I'm not a big fan of painting bolts. I've given them a good clean down and they are ready to be used once again. So I'm going to quickly just get rid of all the masking. Let's see what this is going to look like, shall we? Quite excited. So, these ones as well. You can't really balls this up. These things, you can't get them in the wrong place. So, where you've got a smooth section here, you'll need to have an O-ring section. So there needs to be a place for an O-ring, and that will match up with a place where it hasn't got an O-ring. Because on the caliper this side there'll be an O-ring pressing on here, so there's always an O-ring between each piece. So that one goes there, and this one goes on the other side. That one goes, yeah, again, so O-ring will go in there, goes against the area there isn't an O-ring, like that. And then this will go through. In fact, I'll do it the other way around because the screw thread's on the other side. This is just a temporary piece together just because I'm incredibly impatient and I want to know what it looks like. That is it. It's been a while since I've painted brake calipers. I'm not really a brake caliper painting kind of person, but yeah, that is going to look pretty good, I think. The new pads in it. Not really see very well, can you? There you go. Look at that. I think that's going to look pretty fab, don't you? So I've cleaned up this. This is 18 quid for one of these and these two here. I was like, bugger that. So I've cleaned these up. They're absolutely fine. Gave them a bit of a polish. They've got some pitting on them, but honestly, it's no real biggie. So they can be used still. Wonderful. So that is one of 4 I am going to do, but I'm just doing them piece by piece rather than stripping them all down at the same time and having bits flying out all over the place. I've also bought two new brake nipples for each of this. I've got 4 new ones, 2 for each, so that these can be Put back together with non-leaking nipples. So it's, yeah, one there, and then a feed going in down here. Yeah, very pleased with that. That should last another few years. So I've also ordered the brake pads and the discs. So I've ordered, what have I ordered now? So yeah, I've ordered the new discs and pads for the front, new nipples, and the rebuild kits for the front. I've not ordered any of the back stuff just yet, mainly because the back isn't really in too bad a shape, so I want to try and do one section at a time. I'm also running a little bit low on the old, so I need to be careful what I'm spending my money on. But when that turns up in the next few days, I can get those back on. I'm not taking anything back off the, like the brake disc cover, I'm not taking any of that off for the moment. Like I've done with the Freelander, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to give it all a bit of a brush down and clean. Wheel bearing looks fine. Give it a nice good old clean, tap the centre cap back on again, wire brush everything down, brake clean everything off so it's okay to go. New disc on, brake caliper on, then bleed the brakes. Or bleed the brakes once I've done both sides. But yeah, I'm not gonna get in too much because, like I keep saying, I just want to drive this car, to be honest. So I get the tyres tomorrow. Brake disc stuff probably in the next few days. I think the discs and pads are coming from Germany because it's just the cheapest way of doing it, to be fair, which is ridiculous, but it is. So yeah, and now I'm waiting for the engine parts and the service kit to come from Autodoc again. But yeah, so it's not bad. I'm pleased with that, I think. It's not bad for a day's work. Very pleased. Right, we finally got some stuff in the post. It's taken its time, hasn't it? So what have we got? Let's compare these up. So these are the old pistons that came out of the original calipers, and actually they're not in too bad a shape, to be fair. The only reason I decided to get some new ones, in fact they really aren't in bad shape, is because the whole kit came with all of the seals and everything anyway, and it really wasn't particularly expensive. So this is what the new ones look like. As you can see, they are aftermarket. They are otherwise turned exactly the same. They look exactly the same from profiles perspective, they're the same height and everything. And obviously they're the same size. They don't have this same indent here, which is no big deal. I imagine that's when this is completely flush up against it. It allows brake fluid into this area here. You can see that, into here, and then starts pushing, but it clearly isn't a problem if they make them like this. So these will be going in a box. I'm probably going to get them vapor blasted and then clean them up and probably sell those on eBay, as long as these work. So what we get in this pack, and this whole big pack is, we get 1, 2, 3, 4. We get 4 of these for each side. There's 8 in total, these pistons, all boxed individually. Wonderful. Not great on the environment, but so we'll need 4 for this side and 4 for the other side, and then we'll have a service kit for each side. The service kit contains all of the seals, and don't drop these. All of the seals there. So let's have a look. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 dust seals, and there's 2 kits of these, so it's 1 for each side. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 inner seals, and then there's magical rings. They are obviously the compression seals that go around the outside of these dust things and get knocked into place. We've also then got a couple of dust caps, which is rather good. Didn't realise it came with those because my new nipples have actually come with them, but either way, so they're spares. I did buy a pack of these as well, which come with the new covers, so I'm quite looking forward to getting those installed as well. And then we get 3, I'm quite sure 3, but either way, there are 3 of these rubber washers. Now these are the, as you can see, these are the seals, basically the O-rings that go between each section of the caliper. And they're not the same as the other ones I've used in the past, which are basically normal round O-rings, rounded sort of shoulder. These are actually shouldered. You can see that they've actually got like a square shoulder shape to them, which is slightly unusual. I'm not quite sure why they went that route, but either way, they will go on the inside. So we will literally just quickly pop these out and have a look at what this looks like. Okay. Right, so those seals will go here. In fact, I think there should be 4. Just double check that. Yes, it's in the box. Woohoo! Did not see that. Okay. Get out, you little bugger. There we go. Right, we are okay. So yes, so basically there's one on here, and they will go together. I'm going to give us a good clean up before I actually put them into place, like that. And obviously we want to do these inner seals before we even do these bits anyway, so they can wait, and they can come out for the moment as well until we actually get this cleaned up. So what we need to be doing is getting a clean cloth, because I'm not going to scratch up these nice new calipers. Really good actually. So inside, let's get you a bit closer, hang on. Right, so in here, you can just about see the line that goes all the way around the inside. That is this inner seal, and it's pretty flat against the wall there. So you need to get a little pick without damaging the actual the metal itself. Literally pop a pick in, a little sharp one, and pull the seal out. Simple as that. Don't get them mixed up, because they can look quite similar to the new ones. So once that's out, the other one out. They are quite easy to get out. Shouldn't have said that, should I? There we go. Like that. So they're both out. And then basically I'm going to get a cloth and clean around the inside of those two. There we go. So once you're satisfied that that is nice and clean in there, there's no debris in there, pick yourself a new seal and simply pop it in place. There we go. Nice and simple. Same with the other side. Okay. That's that one done. Oh, another seal, sorry. Another seal. There we go. Both those seals are in. Okay, so the next thing will be to put these in. And as you'll see, they don't want to go in particularly easily, okay? Now, try to resist the urge to use anything other than brake fluid. Grab yourself a bit of brake fluid. The best thing to do is kind of like a rule of thumb really, is that, you know, zoom you back out again. Oops. Is try to use the liquids that this thing is actually going to be in touch with. Then you know that it's safe to actually use it. So in a brake system, it's perfectly fine to use brake and clutch fluid as a lubricant. Okay, so just dab on your finger and run it round the seal. Okay, same goes with the piston itself. And drop it in. And there we go. That's out of place. Lovely. Same on the other one. And there we go. Right. So that's the seals done and the pistons back in. We have a wipe down, and then The next bit should be quite straightforward. I say that because I'm recording it, so I don't really know. So these should fit in quite easily. They cover over the outside, so this inner lip here, that goes over the outer, stretches over the outer of this piston, and then obviously the outer lip goes over the outer side. So best thing to do is just work your way around it. In fact, the best thing to do is, I've done this before, is to start on the inside, which is the most difficult bit to get in, like that. And then use the back of the pry. Don't use anything sharp, just to seat that down. Make sure it's in the right position before you put the lock ring in. Okay, one down. And where this joins, keep that in the middle here. And there we go. One done. Another one in. And there we go. That's one side of the caliper done. We'll put in the new lead nipple while we're here. And I'm going to use the caps that came with those because we know they're going to fit properly. Okay, so that's one side done. All nicely pushed in. Ready for the next side. Okay, that caliper's done. So let's get these two seals on. All right, let's give those a bit of a clean first. Hang on. I have already scotch-brighted all these, by the way. Okay, then okay. Right, I will get the proper salt settings and torque those up, and I'll put that on the screen now. But otherwise, that is ready to go. Looks an awful lot better than it did before, doesn't it? So yeah, fully rebuilt, just a bit of paint, some wire brushing, and a bit of love and care. Ready to go. So, anything's next is to do the other one. Right, so that's both the calipers done. Really happy with those. I think it's come up really nicely. I think they'll work absolutely fine. The kits do come with these hydraulic assembly paste and brake silicone grease, but I've always done it this way. So you don't have to do it this way, but this is the way I've always done it, and I've never had a leaking caliper after I've rebuilt one. And I've done quite a few now. So I've always used brake fluid. I've never used anything else that will introduce any kind of material into the braking system. Seems to be absolutely fine. So I'm really happy with those. You do it your way, I do it my way. I'm sure there'll be somebody that will ask me in the comments for not doing something a certain way, but either way, all the nipples are on there now, which is nice, and these are ready to go back on the car. The driver's side, or the right-hand side, I can do. The passenger side I can't do at the moment because I'm waiting for a wheel bearing. I noticed a bit of a grumbly bearing when I took this off, so I'm going to replace that first before I put the caliper back on. But I also have some rather nice, hang on, I noticed that the flexes were a bit hard, so I decided to buy some red flexes. I think they'll look really nice. So they're a very similar colour to the car, to be fair. So they've come up quite nice. So I'll get these on the car as well, because obviously the system's already out of whack anyway. It needs bleeding. So I'm going to get these on, get it all cleaned up a little bit in there, do a little bit of rust prevention. Other than that, not a lot, because the brake disc covers and shields do need replacing at some point. This is getting it back on the road, remember. So get this on, get these onto here, and then, well, these don't go onto the actual calipers, these go onto the hard lines, and get it all fixed up. So that's the next thing I need to do. Oh my goodness, welcome to a very warm 5:30 on a Friday afternoon. It is very warm here in the UK. So before I get the calipers on, that I've refreshed, I want to replace these flexies. Now I've taken off the other side, and it is really crusty. It's starting to perish around the ends. I know you can't really see it very well. It's not very pleasant around those. So they're kind of a bit of a given that I wanted to replace those anyway. One side came off pretty easy. This side's put up a bit of a fight, but it's quite straightforward. It's just a 14mm and an 11mm spanner you need. I would use flared spanners, but I just don't have any to hand at the moment. I have bought some, but I don't have them to hand. So literally 11mm spanner and a 14mm spanner will do. And once they've broken off, you can then start taking them down. There we go, one down. That can actually stay put. That's in good enough shape. And then this one next. It's the same. Actually, we can probably, I already cracked that one off earlier. So let's get that one off and just capture any additional fluid. No, there's nothing coming out of that. There we go. That one off. These nice new Hell ones. And they literally go straight on. So I am actually going to start at the top, work my way back to do it from the top down. 14 and 11, where's my 11 going? There we go. That's that one there, nice and tight. And then get this one in, exactly the same thing again. Oops. Nice and tight. There you go, all done. This is still already in position because I didn't move the zip tie. So yeah, got a nice new flexi in there, ready to go. Now we can start putting back the caliper. I think is next. The caliper next. Brake disc next. Right, brake discs. Got some nice new vented brake discs. They do come with a lot of crap and wax all over them though, so give them a good clean up with a clean cloth before you put them on. It's amazing how much stuff is on them. I mean, I know they've got to stop them from rusting and stuff, but do clean your brake discs. Quite a good, glasses coming off. This has got a good bearing, like no noise, no chatter, no rumbling or anything from that one. So I'm quite happy with that. So that's ready to go. I did readjust the flexi because it was kind of kinking. So I brought it all the way back, I loosened it off, pulled the steering back round so that it was in a natural position, and now it fits much nicer. So just be careful, put it on lock to lock once you fit the brake line, just to double check it's in the right position. Oh, I have to plaster off. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, so now the arguably fun part. I need to put the calipers on. So we have 2 caliper bolts with washers. And now I need to get a caliper. It's quite easy to tell. So these bleed nipples need to be, these bleed nipples need to be at the top, otherwise you're never going to get the air out. So as long as these 2 fittings are on the inside where you're going to put the nuts, the bolts, you've got the right caliper. So a washer. Now only one of these had a washer, but I'm not quite sure why that was. But either way, I'm going to put this into place first. There they are. I was just double checking to make sure they were exactly the right size discs and they weren't a diameter bigger or something like that, which would have been a bit frustrating. So anyways, let's get this back on. Where have the bolts go? Right, so that is all the lines done. I'll also need to bleed these 2 nipples and put these brakes in, and actually put the pads in. But otherwise, that is nearly done. It starts to look pretty, it's looking pretty good, isn't it? So, pleased with that. Please bear in mind, this is not a restoration, this is me just getting it on the road. So that's why it's still dirty under here, that's why I haven't done anything else, I've not done the bushes. They're okay. They will need to be replaced at some point. For the time being, they are as they are. So let's get some pads on there. They've all got a space for a brake sensor, wear sensor, but they don't all have them. Okay, so they should slot in quite well, and they do, thank God for that. That one, and then that one. Splendid. Let's get the fittings, hang on. Like I said, I didn't buy new ones of these because I thought it was a bit excessive for the amount of money they wanted for it. So we get one pin through. Like that. And then that will go through there. Once it's in position. There we go. Nice, I'm quite pleased with that. Have a closer look. Okay, this is what we're looking at now. So, let's get you in. So it's all nice and tidy back here. New flexi, new pads, caliper recon, new disc, rider's bleed. So, we now need to look at doing this wheel bearing. So when I did the brakes on this, I noticed, I don't think you can hear that, but it doesn't feel loose, it feels over tightened. It's got like a rumbliness to it. So either it has been over tightened, but either way I think the bearing's going to be shot by now. It just feels like, it doesn't feel smooth, basically. It doesn't feel rough, like rusty rough, it feels over tightened. So I'm gonna get the cap off. Let's get this off. And let's have a look at, I've got to get a cotter pin out of there, haven't I? So much junk there, I need to get this. There we go. Cotter pin off, bolt off, hub off. We'll have a look at that wheel bearing. There we go. So that cotter pin is actually broken. That's fine. I'd say this is not the first time this wheel bearing's been done. Right. It's quite a big socket, that. I wonder what size that is. Gotta be 22, I would say. 24. Right. alarmingly easy. Right, so nut. There's a washer here I am aware of. So washer. Outer bearing. Actually, do you know what? The hub is actually going to come off with it, I think. So, there we go. Yikes. Right, so we'll have a look at that in just 2 seconds. Let's have a quick clean up on this first. It doesn't look great. So, fingers crossed. The actual... Okay, no, it's not too bad. I thought it was rust. I think it's just general dirt. That inner race doesn't look too bad at all, actually. I thought I was going to have to pull that out. I think that's what comes out. I'm not entirely sure. Give me a second. But yeah, that actually looks okay. It's not too bad at all. Right, let me go get the new set so I've got an idea as to what it looks like. Right, so we've got a new set here. This is all from Autodoc. It comes with some seals and some bearings. So let's have a look at what it comes with. It comes with seal. I'm not sure where that seal is, but I'm sure it's in the hub. So we've got new cotter pin, new seal, and then we've got these 2 bearings. Okay. One is the inner bearing, and one is the outer bearing. So inner, outer. So fingers crossed these are going to be good enough condition. So what I need to try and do now is work out where they go. Right, what have we got? Okay. This is the stuff that came with it. Hang on. There's that seal. Inner bearing, outer bearing. Right. Let's see if we can find those bits on here. Oh, it doesn't look like they're taking too long to come out. So there's the inner bearing, outer bearing. The race is still in there, so I have to pull that race out. I think you can knock it out from the other side. And then this is the inner. Right, so that is that. So I'm assuming I can probably just pull that off. This is what I do video, not a DIY video. Although I am obviously doing it myself, so you know, you kind of get what I mean. So that came out with just basically a bit of prime from the old screwdriver. That leaves us with the inner bearing, which is cowbells, like that. The shell will need to come out, we need to change the shell itself of the bearing, or the race, so that the bearing can fit in it, like that. And then the outer one is already out. And again, I need to put the race in for that as well. So I need to give it a good old clean up, because I can't even see the races at the moment. And then I need to tap the races out, or get a puller. I think I've got a puller that's big enough for that, I'm not sure. So let me try and get as much of that grease and crap out as I can first, and then we'll crack on. Actually, that inner race looks okay, it's the outer one. The outer one is terrible, you can't really see. The inner race itself has got a really nice shine to it. It doesn't look pitted or anything anywhere around it. The outside one, when I get it out, I'll show you, is just dreadful, and it's been massively over tightened. So arguably I could get away with using that inner race. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but There is nothing wrong with that in a race. I'm very tempted to use that because there really is nothing wrong with that at all. There's some, no there's not, there's literally no marks on that at all. Right, okay, so let's have a look at this outer one first, because I'm not going to go make work for myself for no reason. If that is actually okay, then why would I change it? This inner one is bad. It's difficult to show you when it's in, but when I've got it out, you'll see how bad it actually is. There we go. Right. Now, let me show you how bad it is. Look at that. What a beauty. So, I think what you find is when something's been over tightened, or even too loose sometimes, or it's either you get pitting from rust where water has settled underneath here, or this is at the top and there's a lot of weight that's been pushing up against this, and it's not been proportional to the sort of the actual, it's not been displaced over the actual size of the thing itself. But I mean, that is just mullered. Look at that. So either way, nicely done. That's out. Give it a good clean up. Let's get the other one in. Should go in okay. And that's it, all the way in. So that's that one. Now, do we change the outside one? That is the question, isn't it? I'm sure it's best practice to do it. Let's do it. Okie dokie. And as you can see, this one is fine. The only reason I would rather take these out is because they're matched, obviously. The bearing shell that I've got is for the bearing that I've bought, so it would make sense to use that, wouldn't it? So let's get that, pop that in. Same procedure, use the old one as a kind of as a drift. Fingernail. Yeah, seated. Right, okie dokie. So we've done the right thing. It felt long-winded, but was worth doing. So now we need to get this back over, hack the bearings, and get it back on the car. I'll give a bit of a clean up on the wire wheel first. Let's do that. Right. So, first things first. We need to pack this one because this needs to go in, and then we need to get the. Whoop. Nope, put you back. Where did you go? There we go. That's better. Yeah, so we need to pack this first into there. Then we need to get the dust guard on. Turn it the other way and do the other one. I can't use my bare hands because I've got a cut on my hand, and this hand I've got a cut on my hand and this hand. So I don't really want to be chucking in tons of grease into my hands. So I'm going to stick with screwdriver. Okay, and okay. Yeah, big one first. Okay. Pop that in. Okay. Wonderful. Right. A new seal. Just sits flush. Okay. One done. Other side. Same thing again. I'll pop that one on. There we go. And that there is ready to go back on. So, let's go back. Make sure this is nice and clean. Right. Okay. Working reasonably good, I think, as far as I can tell. So, this just goes on. Careful not to damage that seal. Ah, much better. Feels lovely. Right, so the seal is on. That's on. Then you've got this, oh, bloody greasy. This thing goes on. Oops, literally a bit greasy. I'm not putting it up. The key on this, on the bottom of this stub axle here, that goes under the washer here like that. It's on. And then the nut. Okie dokie. It does not need to be tight, that bolt, but it does need to stay done up. So you need to find the best way I found to do it. Again, it's a way I was kind of taught, vague recollection of this. And in fact, I think Ben on Tasty Classics did a wheel bearing just the other day, funny enough, on a Cortina. He did it the same way. Where you put the ratchet on, and it's whatever it goes to, that's where you want it, roughly. That's how tight you want it. And then go to the next hole to be able to put the cotter pin through. So I am there at the moment, and where's the cotter pin hole? Look at that, cotter pin hole is exactly in the right place already. So let's just do that. I'm quite happy with that. There we go. Pretty good. Then get all the crap out of that and pack that full of grease. There we go. Done. No more grumbly bearing. Happy with that. So, I've already done the hell line on that, the flexi on that one. I've left it loose because we need to get the caliper on and in the right position. So, but that is basically front wheel bearing on an E23. That's not too bad if you ask me. It's quite an easy job. So we've got our nice caliper to go on. We've got our two bolts. Neither of these had washers. I'm going to double check that, see whether they actually need washers. But either way, let's get the steering turned over this direction. Just bloody gloves off. One second. Let's get that one. I'm going to move you now. Get the caliper into position. Brake on. Disc on first. Okay. Oops. Get that one up. It's clean. No rubbing. All good. Right. Let's get this one up. Remember, things go to the top. I don't think I was on correctly. Okay. There we go. The lighter. But I'd really bug it up then. Right. Actually, there is another piece that goes to here, isn't there? It's this piece here. Yeah, so this panel goes at the top of the caliper, top bolt, and it holds the brake wear sensor connection. So on one side it holds it here, and they basically join in the middle. You can see that. So I'm going to undo that back one, the top one, sorry. There we go. Right, that's done. Everything is still moving as it should. Right, let's tighten up the brake lines, I think, with the next thing to do. Oh, no, let's get the pads in. Then we can get this basically made up and then do the lines after. There we go. So, brake wear sensor is on as well. So the only thing I need to do now is tighten up the brake lines and bleed the brakes. And probably put a bit more fluid in because I think we're going to be reasonably low. Up at top. Right, it's a bit of tidy up here first because it's a bit of a mess, and get those lines tightened up. Right, so that is the end of this video. It is, well, it's probably not a particularly long video, but it's taken me weeks. It's been an absolute nightmare. I had a pain with Auto Doc, who sent me a whole load of stuff to do with the car, and then it all got sent back because I think the courier damaged some oil and it went everywhere, whatnot. So the whole lot went back, had to be reordered and sent back out again. Not really Auto Doc's fault, so I don't hold them to blame. But it has taken forever. Eventually, when I got the stuff, I've been busy with work. I was away in Switzerland. I've got all sorts of stuff going on, so I'm sorry it's taken so long, but I've got it done. Very, very happy with that. So I've got new brake discs, pads, calipers have been completely reconditioned. So that's new pistons, new seals, all that kind of stuff as well, new bleed nipples. I've got new flexes on there as well, and a new wheel bearing on the passenger side here. So I've got high hopes for how this car is going to drive. I can't bleed it just yet because I don't have one of those vacuum assisted brake bleeding things, so I need Generalo to come in and pump the brakes for me, which I'll do at the weekend. And then I'll be ready to put those wheels back on. I've got a full service to do on the car. I did buy literally everything to do with the car. I've even bought a water pump and new thermostat as well. New belts, coolant, distilled water, steering fluid. I mean, literally everything to do a full comprehensive service, which I'm going to do in the next video. So watch out for that one. Do subscribe if you want to see that video as it comes out. I do appreciate you sticking around. I know this has been a bit drawn out, but it's the first time I've been working on an E23. I'm not familiar with BMWs at all, really. So it's been a bit of a learning curve for me. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to doing the rest of the work on it. So yeah, stick with me. Thanks again, and I'll see you again soon.